Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a seriously fascinating journey. We're going to look at exactly how a raw piece of wood completely transforms the wine we drink. It's this absolutely perfect blend of botany, chemistry, and just meticulous craftsmanship. Think about the last time you took a sip of a really beautiful vintage. Have you ever noticed distinct hints of vanilla, coconut, or maybe even a deep, lingering smokiness in your glass? Well, it's a super common experience for wine lovers, but here is the absolute craziest secret. None of those complex flavors actually come from the grapes. Zero! They come entirely from the wood holding the wine. Let's dive in and see exactly how that happens. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the journey ahead. First up, the secret ingredient, oak. Then, shaping the staves, followed by bending without breaking. After that, we'll look at the magic of toasting, and finally, finishing and quality control.
All right, starting right off with section 1, the secret ingredient, oak.
You know, long before a barrel even reaches the cooperage, the wood itself requires immense patience. We're talking about air drying it completely exposed to the elements for 2 to 3 years. And just to put the massive scale of this industry into perspective, a staggering 40% of all harvested oak is dedicated exclusively to making staves and veneer for barrels. That's huge. It totally dwarfs both carpentry and fine cabinetry. The global wine industry literally commands a massive premium share of the world's oak forests. Now, before we actually build our barrel, we need to answer a pretty obvious question. Why doesn't a wooden barrel just, leak all that expensive wine onto the floor? Well, the answer lies in a really crucial botanical term, tyloses. These are cellular structures that naturally block the microscopic xylem vessels inside the wood. Think of them like tiny, naturally occurring plugs. They totally dictate the wood's permeability, ensuring your wine stays safely locked inside. And this actually brings us to a major difference between the two dominant types of wood used by winemakers. French oak naturally has thin and fewer tyloses. This makes it slightly more permeable, but it imparts very subtle, elegant flavors. American oak, on the other hand, is completely packed with thick, abundant tyloses. This gives American oak a very low permeability, meaning a way lower risk of leaks, while delivering much bolder, stronger flavor profiles to the wine. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the microscopic biology of these woods completely dictates how they're cut in the first place. Let's look at the sawn cut, which is used mainly for American oak. It's highly efficient, yielding about 11 barrels from just 3 cubic meters of wood. But then we have the traditional split cut, used for French oak. Because French oak has fewer tyloses, coopers have to carefully split the wood to follow the natural grain perfectly. This ensures impermeability. Now, it has a very low yield, requiring a full 5 cubic meters of wood to get those same 11 barrels, but it is absolutely crucial to prevent the wine from seeping out. Moving right along to section 2, shaping the staves. All right, so this is where the physical manufacturing really takes off. We take those carefully seasoned, quartered, and knot-free logs and begin mechanically transforming them into the distinct pieces that will form the walls of our barrel. It takes 3 incredibly precise steps to form a proper stave. First is hollowing, which carves out that internal curved shape. Second is jointing, which perfects the edge alignment so the staves can eventually sit perfectly flush against one another. Finally, planing achieves the exact final dimensions. And just to show you how rigorous this is, for a standard 225-liter barrel, every single stave is milled to exactly 27 millimeters thick. Talk about total precision. Next up, we have section 3, bending without breaking. We are now entering the assembly phase, where all those individual flat pieces first begin to take on that iconic, truncated cone shape of a wine barrel. So 25 to 30, that is the exact number of staves a master cooper will meticulously select and assemble for a single barrel. At this stage, they're stood upright in a circle and held together at just one end by temporary metal hoops. It honestly looks kind of like an open wooden flower just waiting to be closed up. And guys, here is where the craftsmanship really, truly shines. There are 0 nails used to hold the staves together. 0 glue is applied to the joints. No way, right? The entire structural integrity and the liquid seal relies solely on pure pressure and tension. I mean, holding hundreds of liters of liquid perfectly tight for years using just carefully angled wood, that is an absolutely incredible feat of engineering. But wait, how do you actually bend 27 millimeter thick solid oak without it just snapping right in half? Well, you use intense heat. A fire is placed directly inside the open barrel, bringing the interior temperature all the way up to roughly 200 degrees Celsius, while the outside stays at a cooler 50 degrees. When you combine this with a bit of moisture, that intense heat softens the wood's natural lignin over 15 to 20 minutes. This allows the cooper to slowly, safely bend the staves inward using a tension cable. Which leads us directly into section 4, the magic of toasting. You see, toasting isn't just about bending wood. It is this brilliant chemical transformation of the oak that quite literally creates the wine's final aroma profile. Let's look at how this builds across the different toasting levels. Notice how the depth of the heat perfectly correlates with the shifting flavors. A light toast, at just 5 minutes, only penetrates 1 to 2 millimeters, and that imparts subtle coconut notes. But as we increase the time and temperature to a strong toast, say 15 minutes at over 200 degrees, the heat penetrates up to 5 millimeters deep, unlocking these rich, toasted, smoky flavors. And if we go all the way to very strong, we get massive aroma complexity while actually decreasing the wood's tannin expression. But the cooper has to be incredibly careful here. Rapid heating is a massive danger. If the fire is rushed, or if the flame physically touches the wood, it creates blisters and cavities right on the interior surface. And these little pockets are disastrous because they trap wine during aging, which invites ruinous microbial contamination. That can literally spoil an entire barrel of expensive wine, so patience with the fire is absolutely everything. Finally, we arrive at section 5, finishing and quality control. Now let's take a look at the clever engineering behind these barrel heads. Each head is made of 7 to 9 flat boards, seamlessly joined with 0 nails. This is absolutely critical to prevent any rust or fungal growth. To attach them, a specialized horizontal groove, which is known as a crow's, is cut into the interior edges of the barrel. Even though they might just look like flat wooden lids, these heads securely lock into that crow's groove. They actually make up about 30% of the barrel's total surface area, playing a huge role in the chemical exchange with the wine. To wrap the whole shebang up, the barrel goes through a brisk final polish. The 40 to 50 millimeter bung hole, which is where the wine actually enters, is drilled and tightly cauterized. The interior and exterior are fully sanded, and those temporary working hoops are replaced with tightly fitted permanent ones. But before any barrel goes to a winery, it undergoes this really rigorous double leak testing. It's first checked with water and then pressurized with compressed air. Only when it is absolutely perfect is it branded with the Cooperage's logo and a traceability code. So, the really crucial point here is exactly what this quote highlights. Toasting level is the most important factor, controlling aroma, flavor, and tannin transfer. Out of all the complex steps we've just seen, the multi-year drying, the biological differences in the oak, the bending under immense pressure, it is ultimately the master cooper's control of the fire that truly dictates what the wine will eventually become. Which brings me to my final thought for you today. Now that you've seen the incredible fire, the immense pressure, and the absolute microscopic precision behind every single barrel, are you ever going to taste your wine the exact same way again? The next time you pick up those brilliant notes of vanilla, spice, or smoke, I really hope you remember the hidden, spectacular craftsmanship making it all possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.